All right, folks. Tuesday the 20th of July, and it's a bit of a quieter one on the Celtic front. At least in terms of breaking news, but let's no pretend like we've got nothing to talk about. Far from it, because right now just a few days away from the start of the proper season. The Celtic support is absolutely buzzing with opinions. Strong ones, conflicting ones, and that in itself says everything. We care, deeply. Every last one of us who bleeds green and white has a vision of what this club should be doing, where we should be heading, and what standards we must uphold. And that's exactly what makes this moment so fascinating and at the same time so bloody frustrating. Because here we are sitting on the brink of a brand new season, and yet we feel oddly stuck. Stuck between the excitement of what's to come and the anxiety that history might just repeat itself again. Celtic have done well to offload players this summer, right enough. There's been real effort to trim the fat. The likes of Scott Bain, Gustav Lagerbielke and Quan all heading out the door on permanent deals. Others like Mikey Johnson, Lewis Palma and Marco Tilio are off on loan, and let's be honest, they're as good as gone too. Adam Montgomery's away to Livingston, Jude Bonner and young Kalyu off to Ayr United. Under Scott Brown's guidance, that's tidy work, no denying it. But what now? Because shipping players out is only half the job. The other half, the half that truly matters, is bringing in real quality. And here's the thing, we're not seeing it, not yet anyway. With Kilgo gone and Jota out injured, there's gaping holes in this squad. We're lacking a top striker, we're lacking a first-choice right winger, we're lacking a center-back partner for Cameron Carter-Vickers. That's three vital areas that need attention. And while some want to stay calm and trust the process, it's completely fair and actually healthy for supporters to ask where's the plan, because here's the brutal truth. Celtic in recent windows have acted more like a club reacting to chaos than a club building from strength. We knew Kyogo was going. We knew Jota was on the way out. We even had a pretty good idea that someone like Nicholas would be sold. So why is it with weeks to prepare we look like we're scrambling yet again? Look at other clubs with fewer resources than ours, and they seem to get it right. Take Sporting, for example. They just sold their main man Victor Gyökeres to Arsenal for over 70 million euros. But before he even walked out the door, they had Luis Suarez in the building. Signed, sealed, and ready. That's what you call having a plan, and it makes you wonder, where is Celtic's version of that? Why are we still trying to figure things out in the final stretch of July, with a massive Champions League qualifier breathing down our necks? The perception, and perception does matter, is that we're winging it. Again, let's be clear here. None of this is about entitlement. Nobody's asking for 100 poon superstars. Celtic fans are realistic. We understand our place in the food chain. Players will move on to bigger leagues and richer clubs. That's the nature of modern football. But when they go, we expect the club to be ready. We expect our leaders, on and off the pitch, to have replacements lined up. And right now it doesn't feel like they do. And look, some folk out there are calling for patience. And sure, there's a bit of truth in that. The window's still open. Things can change quickly. But we've been here before, haven't we? We've watched deals drag on and on. We've watched names linked only to vanish overnight, like Jacob Briem from Go Ahead Eagles. Reports of multiple bids, none of them even close to the asking price. What are we doing? If he's the guy, just pay the money. If he's not, move on. But don't dither. The fact that we've bid 3 times, all reportedly well below the valuation, just makes us look amateurish. And it's not a honey off. We've seen this movie before. Remember Riley McGree? We went and then out, then and again, then lost him. Thankfully, Matt O'Reilly came in as a brilliant plan B. But that's the exception, not the rule, and that's the heart of the frustration. Celtic under Ange Postecoglou had a recruitment system that, while not perfect, was decisive. We'd lose a player and within hours, not days, not weeks, there'd be a replacement. It gave fans confidence, it gave the squad stability, and most importantly, it gave the team momentum. You could see it. The football was vibrant, fast, aggressive. Celtic were a machine, and that was backed by planning behind the scenes. Now it doesn't feel the same. Rodgers is back, and look, he's an elite manager. But it's clear he's not got the same kind of control over recruitment. And that's a worry. Because when things aren't fully aligned, when the manager wants players and the board hesitates, the whole machine stutters. We're already seeing the impact. We lost Kilgo and didn't replace him in January. That cost us, plain and simple. The second half of last season wasn't a disaster, but it wasn't what it should have been either. No, one's blaming one thing, but let's be honest, you take away your main striker, you don't bring in a proper replacement, you're going to struggle. That's not opinion, that's football logic. And now as the new season looms, we're staring at a familiar problem. Holes in the squad, transfer rumors dragging, fans getting restless, and yet, despite it all, there's still excitement, there's still hope. Because for all the chaos and clumsiness off the pitch, there's still real quality on it. We've got a core of players who are genuinely top class. Alistair Johnston, best right back we've had in decades. Cameron Carter-Vickers, absolute rock at the back. Callum McGregor, a captain who leads by example every single time he pulls on the shirt. And then you've got guys like Rio, Hadit Days and Maeda and Lilabada, all capable of lighting up the park on their day. Even players who struggled a bit last season, like Adam Ida or Odin Diogo Home, they've shown flashes. With the right coaching they could step up, and that's where Rodgers comes in. Say what you want about the man, but he improves players, he builds winning teams. And when he's locked in, he delivers trophies, so there's reason to believe. But that belief can only go so far without action, words, interviews, and half-hearted. Transfer pursuits don't win leagues, squad depth does, goals do, big performances do. The fans are asking for action because we've seen what happens when Celtic act decisively. We've seen the joy, the swagger, the dominance. We've felt the buzz of watching a team that's not just winning, but entertaining, inspiring, making you proud to wear the colors. That's what we want back. And it starts with showing ambition in this window. The truth is Celtic should never be caught unprepared, not with our resources, not with our scouting network, not with our supposed strategy of buying low, developing talent and selling high. That only works if the conveyor belt never stops. If you don't replace your stars, the whole system collapses. And that brings us to the board. We need to talk about them. Because while the team is out there giving everything, the fans are in the stands, the players are on the pitch. It feels like the boardroom's operating on a completely different wavelength. Season ticket prices going up, paywalls for content, extra kits shoved out every few weeks. A friendly against Newcastle not included in the season pass. It's not just about money. It's about value. It's about respect. The relationship between fans and club has to be more than transactional. It has to feel like we're in this together. Right now, for many, it doesn't. It feels like we're customers, that we're being squeezed for every penny while the club hesitates to reinvest that money into making the squad better. And yet, when the team plays well, when we see glimpses of the football we know they can produce, all of that frustration softens because Celtic Park under the lights, packed to the rafters watching this team in full flow, there's nothing like it. That's the magic. That's the heartbeat. That's why we keep coming back. But here's the warning, don't take that passion for granted. Don't assume the support will always be there no matter how poorly things are run. Fans have patience. But it's not endless. We deserve better. Brendan Rodgers deserves better. And the squad deserves teammates they can rely on. So let's see what happens in these final few weeks of the window. Let's see if the club matches the ambition of its support. Because right now we've got a league to win, Europe to conquer, and a legacy to protect, and that doesn't happen by accident. It happens by planning, by boldness, and by remembering what this club should stand for. And here's the thing, right? For all the frustration, for all the angst in the comments, the back and forth on forums and group chats, the truth is most of us still feel that flicker of excitement. You can see it in the way people talk about preseason performances, the way we dissect every training clip, every hint from Brendan Rodgers' interviews, even when we're annoyed, even when we're raging about slow transfers or questionable decisions. From upstairs, it's because we care deeply. No one's shouting just for the sake of it. It's all coming from the same place. That desire to see Celtic succeed, to see us reach our potential, to watch our club play with fire, pride, and identity. There's a divide right now, you can feel it, between those who want to stay optimistic, who are backing Rodgers and believing in the players, and those who are fed up with what they see as a lack of ambition from the board. And I get both sides. Honestly, I do. On one hand, Brendan's got a good record. He's won things. He knows how to put together a team that can dominate domestically. And even though his European record isn't perfect, he's got the pedigree. He commands respect in the dressing room. You give him the right tools and there's every chance he delivers silverware again. But on the other hand, you look at the transfer window and you wonder, is he really being backed the way he should be? Are we actually serious about not just staying on top in Scotland, but pushing forward in Europe? Because that's what a club like Celtic should be aiming for. Not just doing enough to edge past Rangers, but building a squad that can go toe-to-toe with teams in the Champions League. We've seen glimpses of it. Those nights under the lights at Parkhead, the way we rattled big sides when the whole stadium was behind us, but glimpses aren't enough anymore. We need consistency. We need depth. We need quality. Now let's talk about this idea that Celtic always seem to leave things late. We've all seen it before. The last-minute scramble, the late-window panic buys, the bargain hunting. And sometimes it works out. Sometimes you find a gem. But more often than not, it leaves us short. And that's the risk again this season. We've got money in the bank. That's no secret. But what's the point of sitting on it if the squad's not strong enough when the season starts? Are we really going to wait until after a crucial Champions League qualifier to bring in the reinforcements we know we need? And let's be real, that qualifier isn't just another game. It's massive. It's the gateway to the group stage, to serious prize money, to the chance to test ourselves against Europe's best. The stakes couldn't be higher. So why are we going in undercooked? Why haven't we secured that center back to partner Carter Vickers? Why haven't we brought in someone who can replace Kyogo's goals? Why are we still short on the wings when we've known for months what the situation is? It feels like deja vu. Same story, different season. And again, the fans are being asked to put their faith in a system that hasn't always delivered when it matters most. People aren't daft. They remember last January. They remember the second half of last season fading out when the squad wasn't up to the challenge. And that's where the frustration boils over. It's not just about now. It's about a pattern. A trend that Celtic need to break if they're serious about progress. But in fairness and to keep things balanced, we've got to acknowledge that things could still shift. The window's not closed. Deals could be done. Maybe the club's working quietly behind the scenes. Maybe we'll see those signings coming during the next week or two. It's possible. But is that good enough? Is it really okay to be reactive rather than proactive when your rivals are strengthening, when the season is about to kick off? Should we still be relying on maybe it's that uncertainty that eats away at folk? Because we've been proactive in the past. Under Ainge, there was clarity. There was purpose. Players came in early. They were settled, integrated, ready to contribute. We went into seasons looking like a unit. Now we're hoping the last minute business will be enough. And hope, as we've seen, doesn't win you trophies. The fan base is also more switched in than ever before. We see what other clubs are doing. We compare, we analyze. And when we watch clubs like Sporting plan for the future, signing replacements before their stars leave, we ask, why can't we do the same? Why do we always look surprised when something we knew was coming actually happens? Kyogo leaving wasn't a shock. Nicholas leaving wasn't a shock. Jota's injuries weren't a shock. So why are we acting like it's all caught us off guard? And then there's the financials. We're told we're in a strong position, that we've got the cash, that we're healthy, so let's act like it. Let's act like a club with ambition, not one that's terrified to spend a few extra million. Because in football, you get what you pay for. And when you underinvest, you fall short. It's as simple as that. Of course, money alone doesn't solve everything. Recruitment has to be smart. You need the right players, not just any players. But that's where having a proper structure comes in, a proper plan. You look at some of the signings from last year and wonder, were they Rodgers choices? Were they players the club truly believed in, or were they just names plucked because they were available and fit the budget? That's the kind of short-term thinking that leads to inconsistency. What we need now is clarity, a joined-up approach. Manager, recruitment team, board, all pulling in the same direction. Because if they're not, the cracks start to show. And when the pressure's on, whether it's a must-win league match or a European tie, those cracks can cost you everything. But even with all that hanging over us, here's the part that keeps me hopeful. The players we do have are good, like really good. Carter Vickers, as I mentioned earlier, is an absolute colossus at the back. Alistair Johnston is dependable, aggressive, and clever. Callum McGregor is still the heartbeat of the team, the leader who drags others with him when the going gets tough. And then you've got Rio Haddad, a midfielder who could walk into most European sides. You've got Dazen Maeda, whose work rate alone makes him a nightmare for any defense. And you've got youngsters like Young and Home who are only going to improve. We've also seen some positives from preseason, a bit more fluidity in midfield, more aggression going forward. You can tell Rodgers has been working with the squad, trying to impose his style. And while it's still early, there are glimpses, signs that we could be onto something if the pieces fall into place. But again, and I can't stress this enough, those pieces have to fall soon. We can't keep waiting. The league campaign's about to begin. The Champions League qualifier is right around the corner. These aren't the games where you find your rhythm. These are the games where you show up fully prepared and get the job done. And there's something else that's gnawing at folk. The feeling that we've lost a bit of our identity. Not on the pitch necessarily, but off it, the club feels more corporate, more distant, more concerned with monetizing every aspect of the fan experience than actually nurturing that relationship. When kits are pumped out at record pace, when TV content is locked behind paywalls, when season ticket prices go up but benefits go down, supporters feel it, they notice, and they don't like it. Celtic has always been more than a club. It's a community, a shared history, a passion passed down through generations. But lately it's starting to feel like the suits upstairs see us as customers first, fans second. And that disconnect, if it continues, will cost us more than any bad transfer window ever could. So where do we go from here? Well, that depends on what happens next. If the club gets its act together, if the signings arrive, if Rodgers gets the tools he needs, we can absolutely have a great season. Domestically, we're still in a strong position. Rangers might be stronger than last season, sure, but we've got the better squad. We've got the better manager. We've got the know-how. We've proven we can deliver when it matters, but complacency is the enemy. Assuming we'll coast to another title is dangerous. The moment we start thinking we can do the bare minimum and still win, that's when we'll lose. Football doesn't wait. It doesn't care about history or reputation. It cares about who's better on the day. And right now, Celtic can be that team, but only if we take the steps now to be ready. And lastly, to every Celtic fan out there who's feeling disillusioned, who's annoyed, who's tired of the same old patterns, you're not alone. Your frustration is valid. But so is your hope, because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want this club to succeed. We want those European nights. We want the league. We want to feel proud, and we can have all of that, but it starts with ambition, with intent, with putting the club's full weight behind the team and saying we're here to win. Because if Celtic act like a big club, think like a big club, and build like a big club, there's no stopping us. The foundations are there. The support is unmatched. The passion is alive. Now it's time to match that energy off the pitch and go into this season with fire in our bellies and belief in our hearts. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. There's a bit o' buzz making the rounds in the east end of Glasgow, and it's got the green and white faithful perked up. Word on the terraces is that Hibernian's French forward, Elie Youan, could be packing his bags for a surprise move across the country to join none other than Celtic. While there's been no official word from either club, whispers have been growing louder in recent days that Brendan Rodgers has taken a keen interest in the 25-year-old, who's been one of the few consistent sparks in what's been a stutter in Hibs' side. Youan, with his pace, trickery, and eye for goal, has long caught the eye of fans and scouts alike, and it seems the boys may finally be ready to make their move. Some say the Parkhead scouts were spotted more than once at Easter Road this past fortnight, allegedly taking notes on the Frenchman's every touch. There's even been chatter that an early approach has already been sounded out. Those sources close to Hibs remain tight-lipped. No surprise there, if true. It would be a blow for the Leith outfit, who've built much of their recent attacking flair around the lively winger, Youan, who arrived at Hibs from St. Gallen and quickly became a fan favorite, has already shown he's cut out for the pace and passion of the Scottish Premiership. And with Celtic looking to bolster their front line ahead of a Champions League campaign, he might just be the kind of raw talent Rodgers is after, someone with domestic experience, but room to grow on the big stage. Of course, it's early days yet. These things have a habit of simmering for weeks before coming to the boil. And there's always the chance it's just another transfer window whisper spun out of a quiet news day. Still, with the transfer deadline creeping ever closer, don't be surprised if Elie Youan's name keeps popping up in the green half o' Glasgow. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.